or psychic.
He is the ghost hunter of vets. But yeah.
I refer to them collectively as Titus, which they would probably enjoy, right? And I think there's a comedian named Titus who would not enjoy this. But, you know, the Trump insurgents in the United States are a widely disparate group of individuals and organizations. The Proud Boys are the most interesting because they did actions here in New York City in their heyday, and they were masculinized white men who had watched the movie 300, you know, 400 or 500 times together, smoking hash or whatever. And
what? Pardon? What? Smoking hash? And why are they white men? The New York chapter was probably the most racially diverse chapter in the world.
Yeah.
Remember? I get pictures on my feed of like this day in 2014 or 2015 or whatever. And I see this Benetton ad going like that.
They were King Leonidas's army of the 300, and they were led by this guy who's Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, Gavin McInnes, right? Who was this?
I actually pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that's so weird to hear.
You will be, you know, a street tough who wears savvy clothing and has the little curly mustache. But their job was...
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't you love when they're insults? You're like, they are violent but well dressed. It's like something out of Peaky Blinders or something. And they'll be dressed in the, you know, the latest suits and fashions and look like dandies, yet they'll beat you within an inch of your life if you cross them. You know, losers like that.
To be the brown shirts of Nazi Germany
what a brilliant
in 1935.
You're the brown face of Biden's America.
They started as a street gang to attack and beat.
Intact? No way.
Started as a street gang to attack.
To intact? Is that when you beat someone but they remain intact?
And beat physically with their hands liberal opponents. That's what the Proud Boys are. And that name,
that's
the
true.
Proud
But
Boys,
Malcolm, you're leaving out a detail. These liberal opponents started it. So the Antifa narrative is that Proud Boys beat people that they disagree with. Sure. Everyone beating someone disagrees with them. It's an irrelevant detail. In fact, the impetus for the fight is often that they strongly disagree. And I strongly disagree with anyone who throws a bottle of piss at me. I strongly disagree with someone who attacks the women and old ladies around me. I strongly disagree with someone who's trying to kill me. I strongly disagree with someone who pepper sprays me in the face. Am I beating up someone who disagrees with me? I guess so. But that shouldn't be the takeaway from an honest person who's not a complete fucking fraud.
Proud of their white supremacy.
What?
So this is like the Hitler Youth of the Ku Klux Klan, all of which those are two mixed analogies, but they are. And they were
Stop. The Hitler Youth of the Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux Klan, right?
Hitler
wow.
Youth of the
This is honestly like a 13-year-old. He's a 13-year-old who joined the army.
So this is like the Hitler Youth of the Ku Klux Klan, all of which those are two mixed analogies, but they are. And they wear these black shirts with the gold Proud Boy symbol, with the acanthus leaf, you know, the wreath that's supposed to symbolize.
It's a laurel.
Symbolize Caesar. Is that what he's going to say?
Pride in their white ethnic heritage, and their thing.
So Fred Perry is white pride before.
Yeah, is the laurel indicative of white pride now?
Was to challenge you face to face and beat you, to punch you in the face. And interesting thing happened is a transformation happened with the Proud Boys that happened with other groups in the George Floyd summer 2020, which was they started arming themselves.
Yeah.
They had shifted away from let's just beat your black or Antifa.
Because it turns out rolling up into Harlem trying to beat up some black people doesn't work out as well as they think.
Yeah.
especially when you don't ever do that. It never really works out when you don't do that.
I haven't seen this before.
This is insane.
So now, because of George Floyd, these guys are pretending that Proud Boys, who are all white supremacists, got AR-15s and went to Harlem to kill blacks, and it didn't turn out well for them. This is a comic book.
Did they get killed?
This is a comic book. That's the guy, by the way, who said the Constitution is trash.
Right.
Oh no, yeah,
I think I know why.
I think
Malcolm, even for Malcolm, that was like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll run with it. So is he saying, what's a walnut? Is that a white person? Aren't they brown?
A walnut is brown, yes.
Yeah. Shouldn't it be like a pecan?
And would you be down there
peanut?
kicking people's asses in Harlem?
How do you, like, you have an AR-15, any kind of weapon visibly on you anywhere in Manhattan, and you're going to jail for 5 years without a blink.
As well as they think.
yeah.
Wait, I got to hear that again.
Oh,
Go back
no,
a bit more.
you know?
This turned out to be a great Me News segment.
I'm going to get that laugh as a drop.
Yeah,
Because it turns out rolling up into Harlem, trying to beat up some black people doesn't work out as well as they think.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, but you don't hear them talking about that one, right?
Yeah, that's. I'll give them that. That's true. Proud Boys never talk about the time they invaded Harlem and got the shit kicked out of them. That's never covered. I've never mentioned it once.
Nope.
It's never been in the media. It's not actually on any CCTV cameras, unfortunately. It hasn't been recorded even by God or
memory.
physics.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't hear him talking about that. Yeah, you don't hear them talking about that. You don't hear the time Gavin challenged every black boxer in New York to line up in a row, and he got the shit kicked out of him by the very first guy. He never talks about that challenge. What?
We never talk about how we went to space all together, too. We did that trip to space to beat up Martians because they're green.
We never talk about how we went to blow up the Black Panthers clubhouse, but ended up blowing our hands off, and an entire chapter of Proud Boys just have stubs.
Yeah.
You won't hear him talking about that.
When we took the time machine back to when the first black man was invented, and we...
You make, like, talk about straw man. You make up the craziest fucking thing. And the people in the audience go, well, no one would make up a story that crazy, so there must be a grain of truth to it. No. On the Upper West Side, they were jumped by Antifa, and they beat them severely and are doing 4 years in prison because we live in a totally unfair America with a shitty justice system. And that's talked about quite a bit, actually.
And the only brown person was one of the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Involved.
Yep.
We don't talk about
A
that
third
very
of them were black, brown.
So they transform themselves. The next group, the largest group is the Oath Keepers.
All right, that's enough of that.
Fascinating group, because I remember when they were trying to recruit me when I was in the military.
Wow.
What? I remember when they were trying to recruit me when I was in the military. Did you hear that?
What?
Fascinating.
No, he's talking about
group.
Oath Keepers, dude.
Yeah. But wait.
Because I remember when they were trying to recruit me when I was in the military, getting out of the military in 2001, and their entire mission statement was to get military people and law enforcement officers.
And what did they ask you?
I don't believe you one bit. But wait a minute. Look up Oath Keepers. Were they around in 2001? That was a long-ass time ago. My gut says the Oath Keepers are barely 10 years old.
Let's see.
I definitely hadn't heard of them back then. Doop-a-doop-da. Where's the history? I'm seeing a lot of 2014s. Organizational history. It's usually in the
history there. 2008, 2009.
2009.
Jesus, dude.
Were founded in March 2009. Yet somehow they were trying to recruit him in 2001. You see what I mean?
See, the camera angle just focuses on his chest and above, but his pants are actually on fire.
That's why the lighting is so bad. They figured the flames from his pants would light up the room. This is an article, an old article we got sent last time we talked about Malcolm Nance, 6'6". Now, the problem with military guys, as far as an outsider goes, a civilian, I believe we're called, is when you read their newsletters, their information, their articles, there's a lot of fucking... So he was a D4 sergeant. He came to me from 3rd Platoon, obviously, so I was worried that his CO was going to take him down to a third-rate segment officer. And you're like, can you just get to the meat, please? So here's the meat from that article. I received a phone call early in the morning. It was my commanding officer. Petty Officer Morlock, do you recognize my voice? I replied in the affirmative. Open the logbook and write this down verbatim, he said. Chief Petty Officer Malcolm Nance is persona non grata in our spaces. You may remove him by force. Now read that back to me. After complying, my CO said goodnight. Did not know Malcolm Nance. I was bitterly disappointed I did not see a uniform with that name tag on it during my watch. One major issue that his junior sailors had when asked by Nance's superiors was his propensity to submit himself for personal awards and exaggerate his accomplishments while ignoring his juniors. Yeah, both of those black men were guilty of that. I was then advised that Nance was going to San Diego in a survival, evasion, resistance, escape, SERE, instructor billet. Billet? It's BA in French. Since he was PNG from the cryptology community, that was practically the only spot the detailer could get him for his last duty station. Simply put, no one wanted him. I was directed not to allow him to contact any of the students and requested to recruit a few SEALs to ensure that he would make no contact with junior ranking personnel. In Nance's case, he was either on or near a ship that fired missiles or was close to a Scud splashdown. When this happens, the award goes to all members of the ships. As a matter of honor, his personal awards do not show direct action or even influence in these matters. Certainly no V for Valor or Combat V to be noted. That reminds me of my buddy Bill, Unreliable Bill, who was in Grenada, and he was a helicopter pilot, but they didn't need him at the time. So he's drinking Mai Tais, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and playing softball on the mainland while they were all over there getting attacked. So because his battalion was in combat, the whole battalion got a Purple Heart.
Oh.
And he was injured rounding second base. He twisted his ankle really bad. So he was injured while his battalion was at war, so he got a Purple Heart. And guess how thrilled his fellow officers are with that particular nomenclature. They're not jazzed. But he took it because I think it helps with your pension and shit. But at least Bill jokes about it all the time and laughs at how little he deserves this. He doesn't sit there on MSNBC talking about how the Oath Keepers approached him 8 years before they existed. What a dork. Okay, that was a good segment of Me News. Speaking of guys in the military, I forgot to mention this yesterday. When going to see Top Gun, or maybe I did mention it, stop me if I did. Before the movie starts, here's my thing about fiction. I want to be immersed. And I think the culture we have now, obviously with social media, more than a tweet, seems like you're reading Dostoevsky. But even watching TV, which we've all been doing since it came out, right? Well, since we were born. The whole concept of commercials is really irritating to me, and I'm glad we use DVRs now. But like watching Better Call Saul, where I really would dive into it. And it was annoying that I recognized Bob Odenkirk and have hung out with him a few times. So I don't like celebrities, but I want to dive into it. And then it's like, well, is Laszlo dead? No, he's not dead, and he's coming for you. This week at Arby's, all new Chicken Spice Awards.
Yeah.
Like instantly, and you're like, bleh.
Yeah.
You have to sort of jump on the remote. So we're training ourselves, and I'm not saying this is on purpose by the fucking Illuminati. This is an unfortunate accident of capitalism. But we've trained ourselves to not become immersed in the fiction we're watching. It's like if you were reading a book on the train, the subway, I mean, and you're constantly stopping and being interrupted. You can't get lost in it. And then the whole concept of celebrities is another annoying thing. Go to acting school and get that guy. Best thing about that one-shot World War I movie, what was it called, 1911 or 17? 1917. I didn't recognize anyone in the movie. We didn't have Jimmy Fallon showing up on a Jeep with supplies. Tom Hanks, as Justin Thoreau points out, I don't want to see Tom Hanks in Castaway. I know he's been married for a long time. I know his son, Chet Hanks, is having white boy summer. Like, he's not a guy cast away. And the other thing that bothers me about that is it doesn't bother anyone. They don't mind being yanked out of it. And I've noticed as an immigrant to America, Americans watch movies like they're in film school. Like they look at the lighting, they stay for the credits.
Yeah.
They talk about that actor, they appreciate his work. I've done a lot of movies. Acting is the easiest job in the world. And even if you suck, the director tells you how to say the line and you just repeat that. I didn't even memorize my lines because within the takes, you'd end up memorizing it. Check out How to Be a Man on Amazon Prime if you're doubting my acting skills. Mark Maron did, actually. He wasn't impressed. And then it gets worse. The director, the movie hasn't started yet. I ran out of the theater, by the way, and gettered this from the hallway. The director appears. Hi, I'd like to thank you for coming to see Top Gun, the movie. You're seeing it in theaters as it was originally intended. Then Tom Cruise shows up. Big picture, big screen. Thank you so much. You guys are the reason this movie's here. Oh, it's a movie? Oh, you're actors? Thanks. Then they do a little 5-minute movie about the making of Top Gun. Stick that at the end. If it must be, stick it at the end. But they show the director, they show the cameras on the fucking aircraft carrier. Show them landing. Show the guys getting the coffee. Like,